Hi BookTube, it's Missy, and today I'm here to share with you guys my weekly wrap-up number 2 of this year. So last week I actually did a pretty good job. I read 2 graphic novels and a full novel, so I'm super excited. So I'm going to start with the novel first and make my way down. The novel that I completed last week was The Women in the Walls by Amy Lukavics. This is a YA horror mystery. This is the second book written by this author. Her first book was Daughters Unto Devils. Now that one came out, I believe, 2015. I read that book. I thought it was absolutely amazing. It's about a family who lives high in the mountains. One of the, was it the baby? Someone's sick. I think it's the mom. She's like sick. The house is too small. There's too many children. And the father finds out from some people in town that there are homesteads throughout the Midwest that are empty, that are for the picking. You can go and claim one for yourself and live in it. And so the father thinks this is a wonderful idea because, again, their house is too small. So he packs up the family and whatever that they can put in there. I don't know if it's like a horse and cart or a truck. I can't remember. I'm thinking it's some kind of trailer-esque thing. God, I want to say a horse and cart, but I don't think it's that far back. Regardless, the family treks out to the plains or whatever, and the father picks a house, and the story goes from there. It's very creepy. There's a lot of like jump scares that happen in the story, and when you're reading a jump scare, it's a lot more creepy, I think, than when you are anticipating it when you're watching a movie, because the music in the movie kind of gives you a hint or tips you off that something's going to happen, whereas in a book, the writer has to make it very creepy, and she has to bring in the tone, and then you get the scare, and then you're all creeped out. So I was expecting this book to be just as amazing as her first book, which is kind of like Little House on the Prairie meets The Shining. The second book was just not as good. The writing was still kind of the same. You got the gist of what was going on. This is actually a story about 2 teenage girls that live in this very prestigious historical house, and they come from money. Their last name, Acosta, is very well known, and the main character, which I can never remember her name, I think it's Lucy. Yeah. So Lucy's mom dies, who is actually the rightful owner of the house, and so her aunt Penelope and her cousin Margaret move in to the house with her father Felix, and the aunt has taken over what the mom's duties used to be, which is to host parties for the country club that their family and the house is a part of. The country club only has their parties at this house, and Lucy, as a teenager, comes to question why that is. Now that her mom is dead, the father is trying to run the household, and then when we meet Lucy and her family in this book, her aunt has just disappeared. The father doesn't know if she is alive or dead. Lucy is distraught because Penelope was her pseudo-mom now that her mom has passed, and Margaret is more or less upset about it, but she's in this funk, and Lucy can't figure out what's wrong with her. And that's where all the characters are when we first meet them. Now, the story drags on. It's not even that long. I think it's only 278 pages, so this is less than 300 pages, and I kind of wish it was 100 pages. Even less. Nothing happens until about 55% of the book, and that's when we finally hit the climax and where the story starts to build in pace and in the fear factor and the thrills and all that stuff. It was very predictable when around the 60-70% marker, and then the ending just killed me. Like, I was so disappointed in the ending. I was expecting a different outcome, and that's not what happened, and it felt a little flat to me. I gave this book a solid 3 stars because even though it was pretty slow and it was pretty predictable, I did enjoy reading it for the most part. I just wish that it was as good as Amy's first book. I'm hoping that this particular book is like, it has second book syndrome and that her future books are amazing like her first book was. I will definitely read her in the future. Just wanted to give you guys a heads up if you wanted to read this YA horror. Not scary. All right, on to the graphic novels that I read. Now, I already had to return these to the library, so the first graphic novel that I read was Paper Girls Volume 2. I can't remember who the authors are, but you'll see them on the cover. Now, this is the sequel, so I'll just kind of tell you about the first one. The first one is about 4 girls who are on a paper route, and one night, something happens and there's like this time travel thing going on and these flying like pterodactyls, and it's all set in the 80s, and I thought the first one was amazing. Like, I love the 80s references. I love the kick-ass girls on the bikes with the paper routes and how funny their dialogue was and how very strange the whole time travel thing was. And then we get to Volume 2. Now the girls are in the future, right where we left off with the ending of Volume 1, and they're trying to figure out where they are and what they're supposed to do. And that's basically all I can tell you. We do meet a couple new characters. Because it was in the present day for us, the future for them, it just didn't have the same appeal because, of course, I am biased and I really like reading things about the 80s. So yeah, it wasn't very entertaining and there wasn't anything that really happened. And so hopefully in Volume 3, we'll get more info. The second graphic novel that I read is Flight Volume 1, and this is a collection of short stories edited by Kazuki Buishi, who is the author and illustrator of the middle grade graphic novel series Amulet. I have a clip here that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, and I actually did this clip backwards. Like, I was flipping through the book, not realizing that I was starting from the back to the front, but I guess it doesn't matter because this is a collection of short stories. I just wanted to share with you guys the illustrations so you could see some of them. I will leave little notes throughout this little clip about the pictures that go along with my favorite short stories from the book. So with these short stories, there was a poem at the beginning from Kin So, who wrote Jellaby, which I really enjoyed. And then there was a bunch of other short stories written by a whole bunch of different authors that I've never heard of. Because there was a whole bunch in the book, I just want to talk about my favorite 3. The first short story that I really enjoyed was called The Maiden and the River Spirit. It's a retelling of a fable, but I thought that the ending was super cute, and I loved the little like play on what it was supposed to be. So I really much enjoyed that one. The second short story that I enjoyed was called Bowl. The clip here shows either an Aztec people or maybe a Native American people. I can't tell, it didn't say, but basically there is a fisherman and he is catching fish with a net. There is a hungry crow next to him, and he offers the crow one of his fish. The crow turns into a god or a spirit and offers the man 3 wishes. The thing that I loved was that the illustrations were beautifully drawn, and you can see what's happening with the story even though there are no words to this short story. The ending was a little bit confusing for me just because I didn't know who the old man was. I didn't know if that was from the story or from, the future with people looking in, because towards the end of the story you see like a museum showcasing the bowl. And so, yeah, I liked it. The crow gives the man 3 wishes, and then, you know, the wishes come true. So that was very cute. And the very last short story I enjoyed was called Outside My Window, which was actually pretty creepy. It's about a robot who is stalking a little girl. Now, I don't know how he's stalking her. I mean, it doesn't say he's stalking her, but he watches her through the window, and one day he steals her and replicates her house so that way he can make her happy. And he like tries to make her happy with toys and tea parties, and the girl just continues to be depressed, saying that she's not happy. She wants to go home, even though the robot's really trying to make this girl happy. And she tells him so, you know, I appreciate all of your trying, but I just want to go home. And so the robot has to take her back. So it was kind of creepy, kind of heartwarming, kind of confusing. I did enjoy it though. I felt bad for the robot and the little girl. I mean, you could interpret that story to mean anything, and so I liked it for what it was. And yeah, so that was the graphic novel. I'm definitely looking forward to picking up volume 2. And the last couple books that I want to share with you guys are picture books that I read to my children last week. The first one here is called Song of the Deep, Marian's Journey by Brian Hastings, and illustrated by Tony Mora and Alexis Seabrook. This is about a girl whose father is a fisherman or a sea captain, and one day he goes out on his boat and is now missing, and the girl decides to build a submarine to go and find him. The illustrations in this picture book are so beautiful. Here she is building her submarine, and here is a picture of the underwater scene. Look at that dragon. I thought the story was very cute because she's going to search and rescue her father, and I thought it was so cute that I bought the video game. So there is a video game that goes along with the book. It is, I don't know what they're called when it's just one way. Oops. When the screen just goes one way, like side games. Anywho, it's very cute. The graphics are beautiful, and it's all underwater. So if you like underwater games, there you go. The second book I wanted to talk about is Charlie the Choo Choo by Beryl Evans. Now this, as you can see, is blurbed by Stephen King. It says, "If I were ever to write a children's book, it would be just like this." This is about a train that is starting to get old and not useful anymore. But I just wanted to share with you his song. I was singing this song to the children, and they were getting creeped out. So it says, I'm going to sing it for you guys exactly the same way I sung it to my children. "Don't ask me silly questions, I won't play silly games. I'm just a simple choo-choo train and I'll always be the same. I only want to race along beneath the bright blue sky and be a happy choo-choo train until the day I die." So there's Charlie, and he's singing to his conductor. And yeah, they're bringing in like steam engines, or not steam engines, diesel engines, and the choo-choo is very sad because he's being, you know, replaced, and he's starting to rust and cry oil. And yeah, it was very strange. I enjoyed it for the song alone, and of course because Stephen King blurbed it. So if you wanted a picture book with Stephen King's blurb on it, definitely check this out. And the very last picture book that I want to share with you guys is called Introducing Teddy, and this is by Jessica Walton, illustrated by Dougal McPherson. Now this was a different story. When I go to the bookmobile, I never look inside the books. I just pick books off the shelf by the cover alone, because I pick out like 20 books every single time I go to the bookmobile, which is every 2 weeks. And so I want to see what covers I haven't read to the children. So it doesn't matter if it's a boy book or a girl book. I borrow a lot of ballerina books and the kids are fine with it. But this book is about a teddy bear named Thomas, who plays with Errol, his human. And in the book, Thomas gets pretty sad. And Errol wants to go to the park, and he's wondering why Thomas is so sad, like he's sad in the car. And Errol's like, what's the matter, Thomas? Like, why are you so sad? And he goes, I don't want to tell you. I don't think you'll like me anymore if I tell you. And Errol says, no, I'll like you regardless. And Errol goes, I need to be myself, Errol. In my heart, I've always known that I am a girl teddy, not a boy teddy. I wish my name was Tilly, not Thomas. So this is a transgender story for little kids to introduce them to diversity. And yeah, the teddy bear wants to be a girl, and Errol is completely fine with that. He says, I don't care if you're a boy teddy or a girl teddy as long as you're my friend. And it goes from there. And at the end, of course, there's a little happy ending. Tilly is super excited that she is loved no matter who she is. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys. So that is it. That is my wrap up. I read one novel, 2 graphic novels, and those, of course, picture books, which I read a ton a day. I did want to share those in particular because they were more special than others. And that is it. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week. Let me know down below what you read last week, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye.